The stock's less than a point away from its all-time high. Yet now people can't get enough of the stock of Apple. Where the heck were these bulls back when Apple was at 116 in early March? What was so wrong with it back then? Well, everything, if you listen to the bears, or at least everything they could throw at the stock to keep regular people like you away from it. When you look back at what people were saying when the stock was nearly 30 points lower, well, let's just say it's enlightening. Here are some sample headlines from important publications on March 8th. That is the day Apple stock bottomed. Listen to this. Apple falls toward 3-month low. Bear market now in sight. Not exactly the stuff of opportunity. Now, Apple is famous for muzzling its suppliers. The first rule of Apple Club is don't talk about Apple Club. That makes it difficult to figure out how the company's doing because the suppliers give you nothing. Oh, but that doesn't stop the press from trying. Notice I didn't say lying. Hence this headline from a Japanese publication. Apple slashes planned iPhone mini for first half. The article is devastating. Listen, the U.S. tech giant is cutting orders for all iPhones by about 20% compared to its plans in December, according to sources familiar with the matter. Piece goes on to say that Apple initially told its suppliers they needed components to make 100 million units for the first half of the year. Then they cut back to 75 million units. They cap it all off with this line. Apple declined to comment from the story. Ominous! That article appeared in Nikkei Asia on March 10th, when Apple's at 119. I have no idea if it was right, but I do know that these kinds of supplier stories are notoriously inaccurate. They're always a major reason I always tell you to own the stock, don't trade it, because these terrifying headlines so often are just dead wrong. The most damning piece appeared in Barron's when Apple stock was 121 bucks. The title, Apple shares are lagging the market. Why the stock could continue to underperform. Okay, so this one's saying it's going to continue to go down. Happens to be written by a very good writer, Art Savitz, who I've known for years. This piece kicks off with the sentence, is there something wrong with Apple? Wow. The premise of the story was historical, not hysterical, historical. At the time, the stock was down more than 9% for the year, and it lagged the S&P by almost 11%. Barron's went right to the most quoted analyst on Apple, 22nd Nate from Bernstein. He told the reporter that Apple had outperformed last year, earnings grew, but the stock rallied even more, and said that there are, quote, no obvious factors such as new products that might drive the stock higher in the immediate future. Wait a second. Wait, how about 5G? With the wireless providers falling all over each other to get this phone to consumers in order to win them over in the hotly competitive American market? I mean, that seems pretty big to me. Finally, quoting Tony's research, the piece argues that Apple's valuation is still rich compared to where it's traded historically. And the company's up against some tough comparisons in the second half for the iPad and the Mac. Here's the last line of the piece. Saganaghi's conclusion, there's no rush to buy Apple. Now, this Savage article and a similar interview appeared on March 5th when the stock was at 121. Apple fell 5 points to 116 the next business day after this piece ran. It was the absolute bottom. Of course, not everyone got this wrong. Dan Ives was a bull in the stock and pushed it hard over at Wedbush, recommending it just a couple days after the bottom of 119. He made the very smart argument that the stock made for a great entry point. But what matters, what galls me is this. It was very hard to pull the trigger on Apple in March when most of the experts were committed to scaring you away from it. So one reminder that it's simply not worth trying to flit in and out of this great stock. Apple is a fantastic long-term story, so forget about the commentary and simply own the darn thing. I like to say there's always a bull market.